We are the co-founders of Dipper.
Dipper is a technology platform that guides professionals of color to a better workplace, one review at a time.
Dipper is your safe space. It is the time for you to share your voice with a community that you are a part of. Visit us and join today at ourdipper.com.
Welcome, welcome. How are you ladies feeling today?
Feeling good. Feeling good. A little cloggy, but feeling good.
Awesome, awesome.
No,
well, I know that. What was that, Jacinta?
I was saying the same. It feels like it's been a long week, but it's been productive. So feeling good. How are you feeling?
You know, I'm feeling good. I caught a little cold from my 2-year-old and my 3-year-old, but I'm still plugging away with all my 10 jobs.
Right. Well, it could be worse, you know. So you're doing good. You're doing good. You're looking good. And I'm glad we all made it here today.
Yes, absolutely. And I am so excited because the topic today is one that we just have to talk about. And it's called, I can't believe this is happening at work. I need a lawyer. Do we have a lawyer here today? Oh, listen. Everyone, please welcome our dear friend, Kisha Brown. She's an attorney and founder of Justice Connection, the premier Black lawyer referral and legal resource platform. It's where you go to connect to the best Black lawyers who practice everything from employment, business law, to family, criminal, personal injury, and in estate planning law. So when you need a legal advice, or even a trusted attorney in your corner, you have to choose Justice Connection. Ooh, I feel like I was on a commercial just now.
You were, girl. I'm like, can I get the recording for this?
I know. This is recorded. All we need to say now is like dial 1-800.
That's right. Go to.
Yeah. That was so good. She's so good.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. See, this is why I love. There's nothing like a community of sisters.
Yeah.
There's always
I noticed someone said, I also love the name Justice Connection. Like, that's so good. It's so good.
It's like, what is just, right? Justice. What is it for you?
Yeah. So I want to kind of dive in with the first question. I know Jacinta has some good questions for you as well, but why did you create Justice Connection?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer by trade, right? And I feel like from the minute I started law school, I had people asking for legal referrals, right? Like, hey, Kisha, do you know somebody does divorce? Do you know somebody does family law? Do you know somebody who handles stuff at the job? And wanting to be able to just connect with someone, not being able to know where to go. And over, and then I had my own personal pivot, right? My own experience in a hostile work environment back in 2018. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to create this network that I wish existed. That I feel like if we had a place to go to with trusted Black attorneys, someone who looks like me, someone who's culturally competent to handle the nuances that come with being a Black person in this country. And quite frankly, you don't have to be Black to hire, right, a Black lawyer, but looking for someone who's able to bring another depth of dynamicism to the legal practice, and wanting to create that place, right, where Black lawyers existed and were easily accessible, and there was legal information that sort of got you primed and understanding the law so that you would feel more comfortable to engage the law. And so it was like, let's just do this. And so I started building Justice Connection.
I love that. And I love that there's like various areas of focus.
Mm-hmm.
So there's employment, there's real estate, so y'all, when you're looking for a lawyer, don't use a real estate lawyer for your employment needs, right? Justice can hook you up there, Justice Connection, but on to you, Jacinta.
Yeah. I think one thing we always think about is, when is it too early or too late? Like, when should you proactively be finding an attorney? And I think we see so many people, they start a new job. Employers are now having people sign NDAs Sometimes you're signing an agreement that speaks to any ideas you had prior to the company. Like there's so many nuances. So when should folks like be proactively seeking an attorney?
Yeah, good question, Jacinta. So it really does depend on, because at the end of the day, you want to feel comfortable, right? At all stages. So some employers, it's like, hey, Netta, come and join. We'll see you on Monday. And you're like, all right. And you show up and they're like, here's your desk and your computer and your new pen and you're good to go. And then others, as you mentioned, are like, here's a lot of paperwork, right, that you need to sign. And it requires something of you on the front end. And sometimes it's just succumbing to routine drug tests. And then other times, as you mentioned, it may deal with intellectual property, right? And intellectual property literally being like the property that's coming from your intellect, from your own brain, and that you are bringing to that company. And sometimes they may say, okay, anything from now until when, right, we own, and even sometimes thereafter. Right? Hey, you can't you can't go work for a competitor for 3 years, right? And what does that look like and what does that mean? So sometimes it does behoove us to be able to connect with the lawyer on the front end, right? To save us headache and money on the back end. Because I get it, sometimes it's like, I don't have $10,000 to speak to somebody every time I got a problem. Well, good to know that most lawyers do not cost you $10,000. And if somebody is charging you $10,000 to have a consultation, you need to call me because that's entirely too high. And I've never heard of that before, right? But like, you might have that incidents where you want to speak with somebody on the front end. I've spoken with a lawyer on the back end, right, when it was time to leave an employer, and the question was around your severance, right? And they're like, all right, thanks for working here. Here's your $2.50. Drop all your paper clips and your stapler at the door. And wait a second, I'm worth more than $2.50. How are we going to do this, right? And literally, ladies, I came from running an EEOC and still went and had a legal consultation on what to do when leaving, a particular hostile work environment. Because just because I'm a lawyer doesn't mean I know everything about everything. Yeah. Right. And sometimes when you're in the situation, right, you've got your own perspective, your own vantage point of what's going on, and being able to get the sound legal advice of someone who's been there, done that. They've seen different scenarios. They understand the road that you're trying to navigate and can be able to provide you advice on the back end. That's priceless. So most folks are going to charge you a consultation fee for that, front end or back end. And it really depends on the person, where you live, how long, what it will cost. It could cost anywhere from, I don't want to lowball any attorneys. They look out and they'll be like, Kisha, why the hell did you say something? Everybody out here thinking we're going to give them $1.50 consultation, but it could be anywhere from like $300 to $450, depending on where you are. And when I did it, because y'all, I use coupons when I go to the grocery store, so I'm not about like just throwing my money away unless it has value. But I understood the value of what it was that I was getting, right? So here it was, I was able to sit down with someone, talk about my issue, my work experience, and have them be able in real time, essentially, make an analysis of what my situation was, what the law says, what other folks have gotten, what type of language I could use, how do I counter to be able to get to a position that made me feel comfortable, right? And so if I needed more, then maybe I would have invested more. As a lawyer and somebody who had done that work before, I felt comfortable after that one session, but it was money well spent because I needed to have that legal advice in order to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
It's a really long answer to that question, but hopefully it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that you really honed in on informed decision. And that's one of the reasons why we created Dipper, really wanting people to make the informed decisions and seeing reviews and ratings before they got into an opportunity. And I think oftentimes we're so eager to just jump at a job, we don't do enough research. And now Dipper does kind of create the resource for you to actually see that before you get into that.
Yeah.
So I love that you're kind of speaking the same language there as well. What are some other ways lawyers can help someone dealing with an employment situation? Are there any like specific examples or cases that lawyers have worked on within Justice Connection that has truly helped, um, those needing support?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many, like we've talked about sort of the front end, right, of a
Yeah.
job, when you're in that hiring phase, right, if you will. We've talked a little bit about the back end as well when you're um, exiting a job, right, and you're like, all right, let me get some legal advice on that end. And then there's also sort of that in between, which is really the bulk of it, right? When you're at a job and things are not going well, or there's decisions to make.
Yeah.
There's really so many. I mean, just literally, and I'll touch again on just that legal consultation, right? It's being able to connect with someone on issues of salary increase, right? Bonus. Sometimes we don't think about that stuff because we're like, I just go see what I get and go from there. And but think about, we talk often about equal pay amongst women and men, the differences between different races, different genders, right? I think it's September 21st this year is Black Women's Equal Pay Day.
Mm-hmm.
So as a Black woman, here it is, I'm in my job, I'm looking for a salary increase, and I want to go in maybe with a little bit more tools and armor ready to make an intelligent to have an intelligent discussion to really move the needle. It might behoove you to speak to a lawyer ahead of time. Say, hey, this is the type of job that I work at. I know this is what I know. This is what I'm looking for as far as my increase is concerned. Are there any pitfalls? Are there any things that I should be made of thinking about on the front end as I go into this? And what is it that I can do on the back end, right? If things don't progress the way that I want, because again,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about being informed. It's all
Yeah.
about being informed. And if
Yeah.
you're looking to get a pay increase of $12,000, $6,000, a bonus of 2,500, child, you better go ahead and pay for that $350 consultation,
Right.
right?
True.
Money well spent.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we always want to make sure, if we can help it, that we are best prepared for everything. Because we know, especially in the employment setting, right, that the things are stacked against us,
Yeah.
that we aren't guaranteed equal footing. We aren't guaranteed the same type of experience as our white counterparts. And so how do we now say, all right, I'm not just going to celebrate and post and do a tweet about equal pay day. How am I going to enforce that me, right? Looking at myself and how much I work, what I did to get here, the education, the experience, the internships, the after hours, the networking, all that you put into developing your career. Are
Yeah.
you willing to just let somebody else who don't live in your household, who doesn't pay your bills, who isn't thinking about your personal and familial legacy, decide how much you should get paid on a whim, and then that be it?
Wow. Wow. Kisha, you are preaching and speaking at the same time. Something you said that really resonates for me now is being proactive. Oftentimes we don't think about, okay, make sure you have a lawyer kind of supporting you and backing you just in case you need, or make sure you have a lawyer that can also walk you through your package, what to kind of think about, what to expect. And I know at times we may look at it and say, ah, that consultation fee, I don't know, because I've done that before, I'm not going to lie,
Mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
Oh, that consultation fee. And then I get into a situation, I'm like, oh crap.
But
I
that fee, the money that you could earn from, yeah, and
absolutely.
I think a lot of times we think of seeking counsel or seeking an attorney as something you do when you have a problem. but so many times it's like just what you're doing to be proactive and ensuring that you're making the right decision. And or like, how should you negotiate? Like, you may learn these things to help guide. I thankfully am the daughter of an attorney, and she reads when I tell you everything, like, I don't sign a thing, I don't check a box until like I talk to her about it. And it's getting like, she's getting annoyed with it because she's like, I'm trying to retire. But I think it's having this person, this individual that you can go to and tap into if you have an issue, and or if you have a question. Like, so many times people send you an agreement and you have no idea what it means. And they're just like, oh, it's not, it just means blah, 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 blah. Go ahead and sign it.
Yeah. And Jacinta, you're so right, because we just sign away. We sign away.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful for your mom too, because I am sure she's just like, listen, I'm tired of my daughter and Netta.
Yeah. We pay her though. We pay her.
My brother's tired of me. He's like, listen, I don't even specialize in this. Okay.
Don't refer a friend. And I think that's also helpful too. Like, when, like you mentioned, I think like family law and attorneys are not always one size fits all. So it's great when they can also like refer someone else that might be good for you to work with.
Yeah. And one of the things that you guys touched on in sharing about your relationship with your mom handling different things is the relationship, right? You over time, I mean, you were born with this relationship with your mom, but you've been able to develop a relationship, right? And that's what you essentially want with a lawyer, so that when, for example, you go to this lawyer and you're like, hey, let me tell you about, this negotiation I've got going on with my boss and what I'm looking to do and blah, blah, blah. What your mom now has that you want with an attorney out there in listening world, right, is that relationship. Because just since you now go back to your mom and she already knows about the past career.
There's less context you have to provide. Yeah.
There's context. And so now you go to that person and you're like, all right, I done paid $300. The next time you go to that person, they're like, how did that go?
I mean,
well, now we're working at the next level.
I feel this is like critical to adulting, right? Because like, even my accountant gets a Christmas card. Like, we have a relationship,
right?
Because I want to make sure if I'm making a move, is this the right move? Like, and navigating professionals. And I'm curious, how do you kind of articulate the value that Black lawyers bring to Black folks? Like, I think we've seen this definitely display in healthcare, and especially Black maternal hair. Like, but how with having a Black attorney and being a Black person, how do you see that value really coming to fruition?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm like, where do I start? Because, I was purposeful in saying, Black lawyers matter, right? Black people matter, Black lives matter. And it is important to be able, and this is why there's so many things that we as Black people can connect on, right? We have this, I always tell white people that there is really like a secret Black meeting that we have, that we all go to and we all check in and we all are like, okay, we got that. We're doing that this month. Great. Right. Because, when those Thanksgiving memes come out and everybody's laughing at the same Thanksgiving memes, it's hilarious because we have this shared experience, and that becomes so critical when you're dealing with something that's a challenge, that's very personal, that someone can come into your situation and have the context to understand, right? Like, oh, so they touched your hair and they already know what that means. You don't have to, you mention that and the person's not like, okay, whatever. They don't even write it down because they don't understand the connection around touching your hair and how that plays a role in the hostile environment that you're exposed to. So Black lawyers bring their own cultural competency to the table, right? And they're able to then I love that Black love.
Black love, because that's what it is.
It is a
thank you for that, Larry.
Component of it. Because
I love that cultural competency. That's like, That's good that
Yeah.
Black lawyers are bringing their own cultural competency to the table.
Yes. And when I, I had the pleasure, this is like sidebar, but right on point. I had the pleasure of listening to a friend of mine speak to a client yesterday. And I was just sort of eavesdropping and I could hear it. And I wanted to record it. And it was beautiful because this person was like, as a Black lawyer, speaking with this Black auntie, not the mother, but the auntie called to check on what her nephew's situation was going on, who's a juvenile, right? To be able to check in. And this lawyer said, I gave y'all my cell number for a reason. You can call me anytime, right? I walked her through, right? This is what happened. This is what this means. This is where we're going. This is a marathon, right? And took the care and the time to really to honor who this woman was in his client's life, as opposed to you're not my client. With all due respect, I only speak. And he didn't give her, intricacies of the case, but recognized that there was a familial unit that was invested in this client that were all at the table, right? And that's Blackness showing up and honoring that, right? And then I'll give one other example just around how Black lawyers also, the success is personal. It's personal. We go to the same church. We in the same fraternity or sorority, right? You look like my cousin. Oh, I know. I have people who went to that high school, right? There's always a 6th degree of connection. And so your win is my win. Your loss is my loss. And so time and time again, I see Black lawyers show up for their clients in ways that go well beyond just the transactional aspect of it.
Yeah. Wow, this conversation is so powerful, and we need to invite you right back, Kisha, to drop more gems. But everyone, we see that the timeline here is flooded with comments, which is amazing. Folks are so engaged. Everyone, please follow Kisha. She's an incredible attorney. She has an organization called Justice Connection, and she's really making those connections. And like she said, this is all about being preventative and proactive. Don't wait until you get into a situation to then look for a lawyer or an attorney. You can find one today. Connect with Kisha. Have that person by your side. Develop that relationship. And let me tell you what's going to evolve. Black love. Right? And as I always say, head to ourdipper.com. Okay? We want to make sure that you're guided to the best workplaces to support you. Don't go searching and digging through Google when you don't have to do all that. Just go to ourdipper.com and make sure that you also write your review, rate your company as well, right? We want to hear from you, and you too can guide other professionals of color to the best workplaces. We thank you all for tuning in, and we have more.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yay, thank you. This was amazing. I love what both of you have built here, and any way that I can be supportive, happy to do so. Thanks so much for sending folks to Justice Connection on our LinkedIn, those of you who are there, or YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, although I'm never on Twitter, so don't go ahead and do that. But we'd love to
We can't do everything. We can't do everything. Yeah.
Love to stay connected. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.